is going to be broadcasting on her end,
I
and
am.
also Ricky Castle, or Ricky, is another person that had made a great video about this situation that happened with Xanderhall and breadtube, and we are very fortunate to have a very special guest. Thank you so much for being a part of this, Dusty. I know your time is valuable, so thank you for that.
No problem. My time's not that valuable.
Yeah, but still, I know you're taking care of your significant other, and that's an important facet since she was gone for so long.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess, does everyone want to do their own introductions? I'm pretty sure everyone knows who you are, Dusty, but if you want to, you can feel free to start.
Am I that infamous? Hi, I'm Dusty Smith from the Cult of Dusty. I'm the guy from the internet that everybody hates.
Oh, that's okay. Wow, that's one way to put it.
I mean, I don't hate you, Dusty.
I appreciate it. I'm just feeling sorry for myself.
Yeah, I know. No, I genuinely liked your video. Was it yesterday? Fuck, time is just moving so slowly. I'm OzmaInTheDark, by the way. You can find me OzmaInTheDark on Twitch, YouTube sometimes. Everywhere except Twitter, which would be talking to nothing. Although technically you can see me in OzmaInTheDark on Twitter if you just want to look for when I post stuff.
And how about you, Ricky?
Oh, hey. My name is Ricky Gay, or Ricky Castle Gay on Twitter. I have a YouTube channel called Ricky Gay. It's pretty recent, so I don't really have a lot of videos. I really enjoy Dusty's content. Was pretty saddened by the conflict with Xanderhall, and I think Xanderhall was kind of in bad faith during this debate. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
And that's primarily why, I asked everyone who was kind enough to join in this panel just to give their own take and their own 2 cents of what was going on. So I guess since you were kind enough to be here, Dusty, I guess from all your interactions over the past week and a half to 2 weeks, since your I wouldn't say heated, but a vigorous debate with Xanderhall to the aftermath, I guess, what are your perceptions to what your interactions have been on social media thus far?
Well, it wasn't a very positive experience, but I brought it on myself. I've talked about this publicly. My girlfriend is basically like my wife. We've been together for 7 years. She had a grand mal seizure and she fell and she hurt her head and had a brain injury really bad. She was in the hospital for 3 weeks and I didn't get to see her because of the coronavirus. And I kind of fell apart. He got fucking hammered, and I guess I was striking out in anger at people and challenged several people to debates that I didn't even fucking remember the next day. So I brought it all on myself. And so the next week when it actually happened, I didn't even really give a shit about it anymore, to be honest with you. But I kind of felt obligated because I talked so much shit about it. And so I just went on there and did it. I just wanted to have a good, productive conversation. But it went pretty much exactly like I thought it was going to. It was a bunch of gotchas and him basically doing exactly what I accused him of doing, defending Shu, regardless of what my reasonable arguments were. So I think his audience pretty much told him he lost. He didn't put the debate up again. He unlisted it and he didn't re-upload it, edited like he does all his other debates. And he lied about me and said I stole money from a sex worker in his advertisement video, which is still up, which is sort of dishonest, especially for somebody that preaches platform responsibility. So it was sort of disappointing, but it was exactly what I expected.
I concur, and I want to see one of the ways I do panels like this, Dusty, is I usually try to speak last, but Ozma or Ricky, do you guys, what was your guys' perspective in regards to the situation, if I may ask? Either one, feel free to chime in.
Ricky, you're probably have the more in-depth perspective, I assume.
Oh, you think so? Well, I do watch a lot of both Dusty and Xanderhall content, so I didn't watch the entire debate because it was kind of frustrating to see Xanderhall being really in bad faith, and I really felt like he wasn't listening to Dusty at all. Like at the beginning, you made a really good metaphor with, for example, someone who said transphobic stuff in the past and nobody will be questioning it, but Xanderhall was like half listening, and he thought you were talking about Shu having transphobic videos. It just showed that he was really like not listening entirely to what you were saying and all of your point. So,
or he's playing dumb, one of the two. It's possible
Yeah.
he didn't have a response, so he was pretending to not understand what I was saying. Either way.
Yeah, that's also a possibility. But yeah, I just really felt like he was like not really listening, and he just wanted to get over it and kind of silence you and like put you down because a lot of time he talked to his chat personally, being like, "Oh, they keep sending me a link about you lying." Like I saw someone else say that Zenderall has the like. Not really sure how to say because I'm not English, but he has a tendency to weaponize his chat against his opponent, like it kind of intimidate the opponent most of the time in this debate. So
Yeah,
like I felt like, yeah,
that's what I thought was happening too. He kind of uses his chat to supplement his debate skills. So you don't really just debate him; you debate everybody that's in his chat. That is his core fan base. Which was fine. I had no problem with that. I'm
Yeah.
as flawed as anybody. They can call me out on my bullshit. It's all good.
Yeah, but if I was on the YouTube chat, and most people in the YouTube chat who were mostly Zenderall fans were like disagreeing with him. But when he went to check his YouTube chat, he said that they were all like your Sims or something, even though most of them didn't even know you. They just say that they disagree with Zenderall, and you kind of brush away the criticism by saying that they were just simp of you.
Yeah, that's an ego thing. I'm sure his ego was hurt because he wasn't doing very well and he was really confident going in. So it's fine. He's young.
Well, I mean,
Your
yeah.
perspective.
So my perspective is that yes, he's young, and that does make it more difficult than I'd like for him to improve. That said, it obviously wasn't good to lie in the video, and I'm not even talking about the sex worker thing. I'm talking about the whole thing about him having a lot of evidence. He clearly didn't really prepare for this because he was tossed down in like 3 minutes of the debate. He was like, you can't just if you're going to prep a debate like that, you it would help if you had actual information. And it is obviously concerning that there isn't the right type of pushback to get him to change. Or obviously there's the worst case scenario where if because sometimes these things can help make an ego, and sometimes people with egos who are less likely to make changes get into this sort of thing. So, and by this sort of thing I mean like YouTubing, Twitch streaming, that sort of stuff. So it's very much, I'm not sure what to do about Zenderall. I am sad they banned me from my Reddit, although it was less. Sorry, he didn't do it directly. The moderator did, I assume. I don't know who kicked me from his Reddit. At least it wasn't as, unfortunately, it wasn't as interesting as my friend who got kicked from Destiny's Reddit by saying that Destiny was out of touch with poor people.
Well, that's kind of very minor. I think a lot of these guys are real sensitive. When you're going to be in the public spotlight, especially when you're a big shit talker like I am, you definitely have to be able to take it. Otherwise, you won't survive very long.
So, and see, when it comes to the situation, Dusty, I don't know if you know this, but back on July
You're coming in and out a little bit.
5th of this past, I actually went on to
Yeah, I'm not getting into this.
Yeah,
I'm only getting about every fifth word.
There's
notions
of cancel culture, which I'm very critical.
We caught about like 10, maybe 15 words of that.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I thought it was just on my end, but
yeah, hold on a second.
Yeah, got to shut down all the porn torts. That's what I always find.
Oh my God.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Much
Yeah.
better.
Okay, I apologize for that. I don't know. I have a really crappy computer, guys, so I apologize. I'm gonna stop streaming and I'll upload it onto my Twitch and I'll record it later. But you're doing a live stream on your end, right, Ozma and Ricky?
Yeah.
So yeah.
On my end, I can't do it. Like, I'm on my laptop right now. My laptop is really shitty. So if I try streaming, I think I'm gonna glitch. So I decided to
Okay.
not stream this time.
I am streaming it on my Twitch on my end, so
Yeah, so either way, what I have right now is
you
recording it, and I'm just gonna upload it later. So, and I'll just do the edit later with the segment. But no, so what I was saying though, Dusty, is one of the things that really bugged me about this situation is I checked out your entire debate for the 4.5 hours, and the thing that bugged me the most is when it comes to your criticism. It really bugs me like a lot of these individuals don't comprehend the situation when it comes to Lauren Southern. I don't know if you caught that when I mentioned that.
Yeah. I brought her up in the debate, but not, very strongly.
Yeah, and see the problem is, can you imagine the scenario? Like supposedly Lauren Southern's taking this moderate route, which we know is complete hogwash. But can you imagine if Lauren Southern was trying to go into the left or into breadtube, yet she still had her great replacement video still up? I guarantee you, if they had a debate with Lauren Southern and they were trying to like have a discussion with her or what have you, they would ream her up the wazoo about her still having that video up on her channel. And it doesn't I don't understand how it doesn't dawn on them that the same standard in criticism you said on your end about Shoe on Head has a clear parallel with when it comes to like a situation with Lauren Southern, if that makes any sense.
Well, I think it boils down to the fact they don't really take feminism as seriously as they take, trans issues and homophobia. It's like I said, a racism. I think a lot of these people that are in this new left movement, they're holdovers from the anti-SJW movement, and they grew up watching, Shoe and Heads material, Chris Ray Gun, Amazing Atheist, all these anti-feminist videos. And I think a lot of them haven't like challenged, their the ideology that they're pretty much brainwashed with. And so they still have a lot of that baggage they're holding over from those times. And I'm impressed though. I'm impressed by Shu's ability to be defended by everybody and never have to take responsibility for anything. She's like Donald Trump. She's Teflon.
Yeah, so let me ask you. I want to be fair here to everyone that's kind enough to be here. But Ricky and Alex, what are your guys' perspective of Shoe on Head? Do you guys have any opinions of Shoe, or are you guys neutral when it comes to her? Or
I'd say pretty neutral. As for right now, our content is definitely more on the left. So our current content doesn't really bother me. It's more like our old content that is still up, that still gets views and it still bring people to the anti-SJW pipeline. And I would I would have liked for her to like at least address this. I know recently one of the a pretty popular YouTuber was on the right, Hunter Avalon, did left the right and did change a lot of his views, made an apology, even debunked certain of his older videos, which I think was pretty commendable of him. That would have been nice if Shoe on Head did something similar with some of her really old video that were pretty problematic. But I'm pretty neutral towards her. I think she does have kind of an ego and she doesn't want to admit that what she did was wrong because nobody really take her accountable for what she did. So she doesn't really feel the need. I do think that she is a good person, but that doesn't excuse what she did in the past, and I do think that she should address it. So yeah, that's pretty much my opinion on Shoe on Head.
appreciate that. And what about you, Alex?
My opinion on Shoe on Head is relatively neutral. I don't actually know a lot about Shoe on Head. I just understand I understand how bad the shit she did before and the fact that her turnaround seemed excessively quick, and I'm not quite sure why her views changed or what the reasoning behind it. So at the moment I am relatively neutral because she has done put up left-wing content, but it does seem more the ego-driven level Yeah. Unless I'm mixing up Shoe on Head with someone else. I assume I'm not. Did Shoe on Head debate Dusty
Shoe on
and
Head
like the person
stems from
like was Shoe on Head the person who debated Destiny and had like a person pop in to shout a racial slur? Is that Shoe on Head? Fuck, I don't. Oh, god damn it.
I doubt it. I doubt she's ever debated
So
anybody.
let me ask you a question here.
Oh, wow, now it's my
All right, and this is one of the things that I would like to hear your opinion on, Dusty. If you don't want to respond, I understand. But why do you feel, Dusty, that a person like Shoe on Head, why do you think she wouldn't be willing to have a like? He doesn't even have like everyone you could see, but even by your own words, you're not big into debates. I would say that on par, you're probably very similar to Shoe on that facet. Like you guys aren't big into debates, according to her own words. So why?
You're cutting out again, but I think the question is probably why
I
won't she talk to
apologize.
me? I think because she knows I'll call her out on her bullshit, and she doesn't want to be made look bad. Just like I kind of did to Xander. She knows what I'll say. She knows that I've been fighting and feuding against all the anti-SJWs for the last 4 years, and she's been one of the main ones. And she knows that I know all the shit she's done and put out there, and she knows that I'll ask her about it, and she doesn't want to answer for it, so she's not going to speak to me. It's really that simple, in my opinion.
Yeah. So let's kind of go into a more positive note. In regards to this position, like, what do you personally think, Dusty, would be the avenue bread tube, and maybe just do
Okay.
a bridge?
I'm assuming the question is something along the lines of, what is my opinion on how to get breadtube to move in the right direction?
Yeah,
so
that's the opinion I had. I got as well about that. I know some of the cutting in and out was helped by.
I am so sorry for that, Dusty.
Bro.
Ozma, can I just copy your live stream later on if you wouldn't mind? Would that be okay?
No, I'm totally fine. Anyone
Okay,
can
I
copy my
apologize.
live stream for clips and whatnot.
I just want to say
things start to be choppy on my end, so that's why I turned off my video. But obviously, that's not that's not the root of your problem with Discord, Elliani.
Yeah, I just want to apologize. I have a really crappy computer graphics card, so I have to work with what I got. So I'm very lucky I've been able to do the live streams I've been doing. But like, just to repeat the question real quick, Dusty, like just to be back in a more positive note, other than the things that you've already said from your debates with Xander Hall, and when it comes to your situation, when it comes to your live show from Friday, is there anything else that you would like to see that would be more of a positive direction you would like to see breadtube, or just in principle the overall left to do?
Well, I mean, I actually think they're going in a positive direction. I think breadtube is just like the next evolution of what the skeptic and anti-SJW community is. And it's way better than it was. Definitely heading in a much better direction than it was. And there's some bumps that need to be ironed out. I don't think they take feminism seriously enough. And I'm not really big on the ableism stuff that they get into too much. But for the most part, I think they're doing a pretty good job overall. And I'm actually heartened at the direction things are going.
And what about you, Ricky and Alex? Either one of you guys want to chime in? What do you guys think that there's anything that the left, in your perceptions, could improve on, or in the same framing I did toward Dusty in the question?
Do you want to go first, Alex, or I go first?
I'm gonna steal in first because I feel like saying this. I honestly think critical thinking would do a world of good, just to help not just the left, but also skeptic communities, like where there's actual thinking about, why is this position valid? What do you do if it's wrong? All that sort of stuff. My brain completely fogged on actual good critical theory questions, but the general principle of just thinking about what your position is, what's good about it, what's bad about it, just instead of just boiling things down to just the question part, and also catchphrases. Not that catchphrases are inherently bad, but I think I just think there needs to be more critical thinking, although we're not taught that from a young age.
Yeah, I know what you mean. They use a lot of these words like woke scold and gatekeepers and stuff that, in my opinion, they're kind of just weasel words that are used to shut down debate, to just allow themselves permission to dismiss whatever you're saying so they don't actually have to think about your valid criticism. And I think, we could do without shit like that and actually just address more of the actual criticism and points people are making.
Oh, and also I do like the idea of taking pride in improving. I realize that societally that's not looked kindly upon in some ways, but at the same time I think it's it would be helpful for just honest improvement.
So I want to give, like I said, everyone a chance. But what do you think, Ricky? What is your perspective? I'll chime in what they said, but I would like. What do you think, Ricky?
Okay, regarding breadtube, well, I do.
Or the broader left. Like, what do you think
Okay.
breadtube can improve on, or the broader left?
I do really enjoy breadtube in general. Like, I do watch Zenderall, I do watch Vosh. I do prefer Vosh over Zenderall personally, but there's also ContraPoint I do enjoy. It's true that the ableism, I think Vosh doesn't really do it anymore, but Zenderall still kind of excuse the use of the R slur, which is kind of a little bit iffy for me. The fact that they do use, I don't think I heard Vosh using it, but Zenderall often use the term woke skull. I used to not really have an issue with this word because unlike SJW that imply that fighting for social justice is bad, woke skull sounds like, okay, they're scolding people. It's kind of, it feel a little bit condescending to scold someone on something, but at the same time, for most people, woke skull is a synonym of SJW. So I do understand, and he kind of use it for anyone who kind of disagree with him or is like, there are definitely people on the left who are like, some people on the left, but I think in every group, there's always people who are more abusive or toxic. I did encounter some people on the left that were really, really toxic and abusive, but giving them a name that is synonymous with SJW that was used against us for any time that we care about social issues, I do think that it can be an issue, yes. And I don't really know if they need a term for them, but yeah, that's pretty much my issue with some breadtuber. There's also
when it comes to the facet of woke skull, so in my discussion I had with Xanderhall in July, I mentioned this, what you said right there, Ricky, which makes a lot of sense. And what I told him was, it's literally synonymous with social justice warriors, and social justice warriors has similar connotations today with people like Sargon and many people on the far right with the term cultural Marxism. And that was my criticism I levied at Xanderhall. And he himself came up with the idea during that hour-and-a-half discussion of coming up with a new term. I asked him, why don't you come up with a term like abusive left or irrational left or something around those lines that have no similar connotations to what the far right rhetoric is? And he agreed. And the thing that kind of shocks me to this day is, this is where I thought that Xanderhall was good faith. He said, okay, I'll take your criticism to light. He said that he was going to try to do so. He even said, you can even watch a live stream where he told his audience that he wanted to invent this new word or new label, but he's never done it. I guess my next question would be, did you happen to ever catch that live stream between Vosh and Shionhead back last November at all, Dusty?
Yeah, I've caught pieces of it.
Okay. Did you happen to remember the part where Shoe on Head literally recommended remember, you've been the one you suggested is about Shoe on Head correcting the record and doing some measure of display on correcting the record. Remember how that should have been your mainstay of criticism?
Mm-hmm.
Did you happen to remember that Shoe on Head herself during that discussion was actually the person that she wanted to do that herself? Did you remember catching that at all?
Yeah, but she never did. She
Exactly. I'm just wondering, what is your opinion on that?
uh, exactly what I expect to happen. I don't expect her to really take responsibility for it on her main platform. I think that she thinks that if she does that, she's going to get a lot of backlash because, like, she can lie about it and they can lie about all they want to, but she has a giant right-wing fan base still. Not all of them, of course, but there's still a lot of the holdovers from the anti-SJW movement, and I think that she's worried about pissing them off and having to listen to them bitch at her, and that's why she doesn't take responsibility for it, in my opinion. But that's not a good excuse.
Yeah, I mean, how many subscribers did you have, Dusty, prior to your situation in 2016, if I may ask, when it comes to how many subs you have, and then when you finally came out prior to the 2016 election, how many subscribers did you think you lost from the time you made your anti-Trump? Would it be fair to say anti-Trump video? Would that be fair for you to say?
Yeah, that'd be very fair.
Okay, so what was the loss you experienced during that time, if I may ask?
I mean, it's hard to determine exactly because you're getting new ones in and you're losing tons. But I had like almost 260,000, and I have like 234,000 now. I've lost between probably 700 and 1,500 subscribers every single month for the last 4.5 years.
So, so in similar regard to both Ricky and Alex, like in your own experiences because I think you said, Ricky, that you also had your experiences when you were younger as a teen, going up and watching this content that was anti-SJW in nature. Am I correct when we last spoke in regards to that?
Yeah.
So can you tell me, like, see, that's one of the things that's very unique about this panel is we all have our own unique perspectives in this situation. I would love to ask you, Ricky, in that experience, being at a younger age, going through that, what was your initial reaction in 2016 when it came to this form of content, and what maybe changed your mind or shifted your perspective?
Yeah. I remember back in 2016, I was a teen. I was maybe 16 or 17 back then. Yeah, I was pretty anti-Trump, and I always been on the left, but I did kind of fell into the anti-SJW pipeline because I'm LGBT, and they keep like showing me like LGBT people that for them were cringy, and I didn't want to be associated with them, so I kind of needed to felt like I was not part of those cringy SJW. So I kind of watched anti-SJW video because I kind of wanted to be like normal in a way. But then I realized that it didn't really make sense, and those people were not bringing any positive points. They were just like making fun of people for being different, and I was like I'm different. I was bullied for being different all my life. So this is kind of when I started to stop watching anti-SJW videos. Then I met people who were more on the left than me, especially on Discord, and they kind of educate me. That sort of like the fact that back then I was using the word SJW a lot. I was pretty transmet and biphobic back then, and those people kind of helped me like understand that that was wrong. And then I discovered breadtube. Well, I discovered Dusty first. Well, rediscovered because I was watching him when I was a teen, when he was making more atheist content. So I rediscovered him, and Dusty did help me going more to the left. I was really surprised that his content was more on the left now, because at some point, well, we did see on your stream, like all the video you deleted, that was kind of the video that made me stop watching for a moment.
I don't blame you.
And then like maybe 2 or 3 years later, I rediscovered your channel. I was like, oh, I remember this guy, Dusty. What is he doing now? And you were doing like those podcasts that were like really interesting. And I started like binge watching them. And sometimes I managed to like catch you live and watch you live. So yeah, I'd say Vosh, ContraPoint, and Zenderall also help, especially ContraPoint, because when I started watching ContraPoint, I was really transmedicalist and ambiphobic, and she helped me like grow out of that, because I was kind of not assuming that I was non-binary myself. So I had a lot of frustration against non-binary people because they were assuming like their identity, and me, I was still in the closet. So she kind of helped me like to understand that you don't need a sword to be trans. There is like many ways to be trans, and so yeah, I'd say that's pretty much my experience.
Awesome. Yeah. See, one of the things I wanted to mention real quick. See, one of the astounding factors of people that are trans meds, and this is one of the conflicts I have with another individual I will not name here, but one of the problems I have with this individual is they literally ignore that the scientific consensus literally describe transgender to be an umbrella term, and their whole conflict and their whole counter to that is they think it's because of woke ideology being invested into the universities and into academia, and that's the reason why they use these labels today. It has a broader implication than people actually acknowledge. But Alex, the same thing to you. What was your experience, if you had any, when it came to like 2016 and the anti-SGW scene? Like, what was your experience?
So my experience was I never really got into the anti-SJW scene much until so I had first heard about the anti-SJW thing when Jim Sterling was making fun of it. Because I used to listen to, I still listen to Jim Sterling. I game a lot, so yeah, so I didn't find out about it as much, although my roommate Zavaris or whatnot, he was falling down the anti-SJW thing. Although he never fell down it completely, but he was starting to get it, like he was starting to get into like a bit like bearing Sargon whatever, and then they start to get like way too ridiculous. Blair White, but yeah, then they start to get way too ridiculous, and having me, someone who's trans in the household, kind of made it difficult. I think a little bit more difficult for him to go all the way down that path. But yeah, no, I never got into the anti-SJW stuff.
I envy you, Alex, because I was knee deep. I'm pretty sure you know this about me already, Dusty, but I was alt-light for about 3 years, and what led me down that pipeline was yeah. So you didn't know that about me, I take it.
No, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah,
I was alt-light for like 2 months, not 3 years though. That's a long time.
Yeah, so suffice it to say, I'm not embarrassed. I'm very embarrassed by my past. I've told Alex about this. I've done a lot of research. What's that?
Oh, yes, you have told me
several times. But suffice it to say, what really brought me down that pipeline, Dusty, was a book. I don't know if you know who Pat Buchanan was, but yeah. So I read a book that he wrote called Death of the West. See, I grew up in a religious cult known as Jehovah's Witnesses, and then from there I went to the military. And you can imagine going from a really far right-wing mentality of in a religious cult, Christianity, to military, which is also very right-wing, then down the pipeline with my own PTSD and stuff going to the Iraq. But anyways, that's what led me down to the alt-light. And I was making content for about 3 years, from 2013, late 2012, 2013, until 2016, until I found out it was intersex and gender dysphoric about 1.5 years later. But suffice it to say, what led me, what really shook me to my core about the anti-SGW community is they started attacking. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a segment that Sargon did. I don't know if it was Sargon, but someone was talking about intersex. And when I found that I had Klinefelter syndrome, I watched this segment because I still was watching their content and absorbing it, even when I was kind of like taking a break. And they were starting to demean and reject and disrespect people with intersex conditions. And that's what really shook me to my core. It's like, they're talking about me now. You know what I mean? And that's what completely changed my whole view. And it was like in the course of 6 months. So yeah, sorry if you didn't know that about me already, Dusty, but I've told that to a lot of other people.
Hey, no problem. You know, we've all had our past, and as long as you own up to it and use them as teachable moments for people to help them not make the same mistakes you made, then they're all good.
Well,
I don't know how many
I
times.
mean, I had the shameful past of watching the Game Theorist channel for a while.
Matt Pat, yeah.
Yeah,
So
no, Matt Pat has just slowly gotten more cringe.
yeah, well, what's that's a different topic, but I guess overall, because I don't know how long you want to stay on, Dusty, but suffice it to say, like, I generally concur that when it comes to BreadTube overall, they're doing a great and measurable work in comparison to Skepticism 1.0, however you want to denote them. But I guess the key question is, what do you think would be a good, like, what do you think that BreadTubers and people like outside of BreadTube, and I'm not even saying that we're far apart from them, but as like these outsiders, quote unquote, what do you think could we as and them could do to possibly bridge the divide that we can unify the left to, like, how they say bully Biden and, emphasize or not emphasize, but emphasize more leftist policy with people like Biden and the administration that currently going to be in place. Like, what do you think?
In my opinion, I think we have to hold each other accountable more without accusing each other of being woke scodes and gatekeepers and canceling everybody. You know, I think these are weasel words basically to get out of criticizing each other. I think we had to support each other. Like I've tried to have the guys, like I had Volsh on my channel when before he blew up. I had the Surfs on, I had American Johnson, I've had Vidine on. So we have to try to support them, but also hold each other accountable because, we can't really grow and evolve if we're afraid to actually call out bullshit on our own side.
Did you happen to watch that clip I shared with you, Dusty, about what Xanderhal said about members that he denoted as woke skull? Did you happen to chance to see that?
I saw the title you put on it, but I didn't have a chance to click on it yet.
Yeah, so suffice to say, I hope you take what I'm saying as truthful. I mean, feel free to confirm what I'm saying here. But suffice to say, Xanderhal did a video in where he was talking about Peter Coffin supposedly leaving BreadTube because of quote unquote woke skulls and financially supporting a turf. But suffice it to say, one of the things that really inspired me to kind of like speak out on it was in that video, he said that we should excise our BreadTubers, and especially himself, should excise leftists from leftist communities if they get labeled a woke skull.
That's very convenient, isn't it? It's a great way to dodge criticism. Hey, just get rid of the people that are criticizing me. That sounds like a cult.
In regards to that, what does anyone have any opinions in regards to, like, I don't know, maybe in a nutshell, I think that's like the worst form of gatekeeping. They can say that we're doing gatekeeping because they're trying to hold people principled, but I mean, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that's a worser form of gatekeeping, or?
Yeah, that's some weasel ass shit right there.
What about you and Ricky and Ozma? What do you guys think about that? You could take my word for it if you want, but you can confirm.
Well, I did watch. I did saw a video about Peter Coffin. Like, I don't like Peter Coffin at all, and him. Well, it's not really about him that we're talking, but I think it's kind of dangerous. Like, because anyone can be labeled a woke skull if they say something that someone didn't like. Like, I do think people who are like abusive and toxic in the left should be, well, maybe not exclude, but maybe not accord them too many attention. Like if they're like generally abusive and toxic, but. Yeah, like labeling them as woke school is kind of dangerous because anyone could be like, Dusty could be labeled a woke school. I could be labeled a woke school and like be excluded just because I disagree with one of the popular BreadTubers. So I think it's kind of dangerous to like put them all in a category rather than just judge case by case, because people can have like a lot of reason why they're shitty people and you should be associated with them. So yeah, I do have an issue with what you said. Yeah.
Yeah, and I to kind of like add on, but I agree with you what you just said. And one of the things that really troubles me is even by Xanderhal's own admission in that live stream when I covered it, he literally said that these people share 90% of the correlation when it comes to politics that these individuals do. Yet somehow, some way, in my rationale, I don't understand this, that they're willing to accept and bring in people like Chris freaking Raygun into BreadTube and they're trying to like brush under the rug their past, and I just to me that their priorities just seem really backwards. But I would like, what's your opinion, Alex, please? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so my opinion is for one, just in general, there needs to be transparency. You shouldn't brush your past at all because it's not you shouldn't brush away past, because transparency is a genuinely important aspect of just in general preventing corruption. And what you don't want is you don't want the leftist groups to do the same thing that the Democratic Party did, which was slowly shift further and further right.
Good point, Alex.
So transparency definitely needs to happen. Criticism needs to be able to occur, and yeah, you can call out people if they're using abusive tactics, but that's mostly helpful if you help. People need to learn critical thinking. Like, it is so important. It's not just skepticism. You need to actually think about and process these things and make sure to use the thinking part of your brain, because otherwise it's a lot easier to be manipulated if you knee jerk. And I realize there's to some degree a game that has to be played of when it comes to affecting other people's opinions, especially because we're not taught critical thinking. But I just think that, I don't know, we need to have a good place. We need to have a well-structured, transparent place that you can bring people up from the left and change people's minds. And I didn't put a lot of thought into my answer.
But I think you brought up a really great point, Alex, that the correlation between what you just said and what the DNC did with other progressives is a very direct correlation to what we're kind of experiencing now. On the highlight to that, I mean, what do you guys think? Do you, Dusty and Ricky, do you think like the experiences you guys are having when it comes to some of the members of breadtube, do you see like Alex mentioned, some form of correlation to what happened there with the DNC and other progressives to what you're seeing now when it comes to certain members of breadtube? Do you guys have a shared perception of that as well, or?
Well, I think these communities always end up kind of being cliquish, whether it's the DMC or breadtube, and they kind of circle the wagons and defend each other from outside criticism, which is one of the reasons that I don't really get involved in them too much, because I can't keep my fucking mouth shut. I just want to criticize everybody, if they deserve it. So it's hard to be inside that group, but yeah, I think it's just mostly about the cliques.
What about you, Ricky? What is your perception of that, if you have one?
I don't really know a lot about the DNC because I'm not American.
Of course.
So I'm not really involved.
I guess I guess from your perspective, because you're in French and in Quebec, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm in Quebec, French. I'm French Canadian, so.
Gotcha. So I guess in your perspective, like, is in Canada, like, I don't know the exact political framework of Canada, I apologize, but like in a scenario when it comes to your guys' left-wing party, is there kind of like a division between members of your left-wing party and maybe more people who are further left in Canada, in your section of in your country, or is that different, or that situation?
Well, I know there is three main party in Canada. There's the Conservative Party that is like nowhere near as right as the Republican Party. We have the Liberal Party, was pretty much the same as the Democratic Party in the US. And then we have actually another Democratic Party, the NPD, I think, who is our Democratic Party, was really, really on the left. And I know that right now we have Justin Trudeau, who is the leader of the Liberal Party. He is more on the left, but he's still kind of a centrist, and there are some conflict between him and the leader of the Democratic Party, who is really left-leaning. And yeah, the more leftist party in Canada kind of get a little bit excluded from politics. Like they're the least popular one, unfortunately.
Well, if you take the correlation you just mentioned there, which is a great example, do you see like a similar facet of that happening with members of breadtube and people who are not a part of breadtube?
I don't really know a lot of people, leftist YouTuber who are not on breadtube. Dusty is not on breadtube. And yes, I would say that it really excluded by the conversation because they do want to stick together. They do kind of click, as Dusty said, so they don't really want to criticize each other too much. I know Rarely Grays do criticize some breadtubers sometimes, but most of them like don't really want to get in beef with each other. So I'd say yes, there's kind of that.
So real quick, so we can do because I didn't want to take too long with this, but so to kind of do the wrap up in the last few minutes, I wanted to ask this really important question, and I think this is probably going to go to the core heart of it. And I know this is going to seem like a completely far-fetched idea, but one of the things I've been mentioning is I've been kind of labeling people within outside of BreadTube, kind of calling them basically the principled left. I know that sounds cheesy. I know that sounds really just out there. But Dusty, I would like to hear your perspective on this. Do you think that people who are outside of BreadTube that have like a perspective of being principled, holding other people accountable on the left, do you think that as a facet is an option? Do you think people like yourself and others need to like devise our own version of BreadTube, like a principled left or something around? Do you think that's something that we would need to do to kind of get our message out there? Or
I mean, to be honest with you, it'd probably be good for you guys to do that, but like I just know me, and I don't play well with others, and like I don't fit into groups and stuff. I always fuck it up, so like I'm always gun shy about getting involved, into groups and shit for that reason. It always goes bad for me. I'm sorry, I have like traumatic experiences from every time I've ever tried it. So
yeah, you were a part of the skeptic community from what 2010 to 2016, and then you had your experiences with being. Yeah, I can imagine. Like,
Yeah.
what about you and Alex and Ricky? What do you guys think?
So, for one, what comes to people on the left, there are some people who genuinely don't work well with others. There are some people who I get the impression that there are some people on the left who have labeled people as bad, and because of that, they are looking for all the mistakes, which there are aspects of that which are fine, but there are aspects of that where it's just like a bit of a stretch. I've seen some stretches on Twitter when it comes to criticism of Vosh or ContraPoints or some of the breadtubers. Now, that said, I do think possibly that would help, but we would have to from the start be transparent and try to hold values or whatnot, and it would be hard. And that's the thing about making groups, it's always gonna be hard.
I agree. What about you, Ricky? What is your take on that question?
Just to be clear, yes, I would be interested in joining into groups, but to be fair, I have very little online experience, so I haven't had as much time to be traumatized. Anyway, sorry.
Fair enough. So what about you, Ricky, in regards to the question posed?
Well, I'd say there is like a lack of unity in the left. Like I feel like the right has like it's more easy for them to get along because they can bond over like the people they hate. Like you can have like Blair White who is trans being friend with trans folks because they both hate certain like non-passing trans people in general. So it's more easy for them to get along because they don't like a lot of them kind of like are soulless, I'd say, and they just being friend, like even like Dave Rubin who is gay, who's gonna be friend with homophobes because it benefits him. So they're more having like relationship that benefits them. They're just bonding over who they hate and who they want to have like left, right. So while the leftists actually more care about people. So if we don't care the same way, certain leftists can like infight. Like there's people who like say that their main goal is like socialism or communism, and there are others that don't specifically. And I did see some people saying that if you're not a socialist or a communist, you're not a real leftist. And like I think most people on the left are not necessarily like socialist. Like some of them are more SOCDEM, or I'd say some liberal could be considered leftist. So like I would like more unity in the left, but we're like so separate in like different ideology, and we don't agree on like certain of our core beliefs. So it's kind of hard. Like
I agree completely.
Like I'd like to be more friendly with breadtuber, because some breadtuber are like really not problematic at all.
Yeah, like I don't have any general issue. I mean, I guess like this is just my take with, and people can disagree with me, but like I just generally don't ever see a problem with people like the serfs. Like I generally don't ever have a. I mean, what do you have? Like, have you ever seen any issues with like the serfs at all, Dusty?
Nah, he seems like a nice guy. I think
Yeah,
my main
I
issue
agree.
is there's one of the guys doesn't actually exist. I've never seen him. That's my main issue.
That's funny. But yeah, but like you know, like some like I'll just want to put like this, like certain individuals in BreadTube, I just generally don't have any problems with. And you know, like me and Alex have had, you know, a little bit of disagreements like when it comes to ContraPoints and stuff, but not pretty harshly, but just, you know, like certain
Yeah.
facets.
Well, the strongest disagreement I have was a video. Well, two disagreements. One, the opulent video is boring as fuck. And the other most major disagreement was the fact that she didn't bring up Dawn of the Dead when talking about dystopian malls or whatever, and acting like it's some new ass thing. It's been around since the 70s. No, yeah, no, I don't have a problem. One thing I did want to bring up is when it comes to Unity, one of the or Unity, whatever. There's a consensual aspect. If people aren't fighting for you, it's hard to fight for people who aren't like interested in fighting for you. So when people feel like they're being put on the wayside and being like the less important issue when they exist, I can see how that can create some division. If definitely with the ableism thing, it's hard to like there are things that are just like roadblocks that don't help with unity, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I greatly appreciate everyone participating this evening. And I think we've pretty much said a good portion of things that we can do to improve the left, even if some measures are people can deem to be platitudes. But I think one of the things I want to do before we do this wrap up is I want to give everyone an opportunity to like, what is the main forte that you would love to see the left to do? Like, what is the I guess the final message in regards to this topic about bridging the divide and the unifying the left? Anyone feel free to jump in. Like, what do you guys think is like if there was one thing you could say to kind of touch base on this issue, what would that be?
Well,
Just keep holding each other accountable while we support each other. I think that's how we evolve the left, in my opinion.
I agree. What about you, Ricky? And this would be like your ending statement before we end this. So.
I'd say to be more patient and open-minded with certain people that may not exactly think like us. It's important to like take like people who did shitty stuff to take them accountable, but I'm more speaking about people who are like not really problematic or more leftist, to be more open-minded and patient about their opinion that you may not agree with. And I say that would be helping people to how do I say it, get on easier. Like even if someone is more like a SOTDEM or liberal or more socialist, like still trying to find which we agree that we have in common, like more focusing on what we agree rather than what we disagree. More, I'd say that's something I would like to see in the left.
Gotcha. And what about you, Alex?
I just think that there just needs to be a focus on the core thing that I feel like the left has, which is the putting of human beings first and being born being all you need to be valued as a human being. That's like a really universal thing when it comes to the left of center reasoning. So I think a lot more focus on that would help.
Yeah, so the only last thing I want to just say is in reference to a quote that I have pinned on my profile from Noam Chomsky. So I'm a huge follower of Noam Chomsky. I think I really try to follow his philosophy and principles of secular humanism. But if I can just read this real quick, this is what Noam Chomsky said in 1972, if I got the date correctly. If we adopt the principle of universality, if an action is wrong or right for others, it is right or wrong for us. Those who do not rise to the minimal moral level or of applying to themselves that the standards that apply to others, more stringent ones, in fact, plainly cannot be taken seriously when they speak on appropriateness of response, or of right or wrong, or of good or evil.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Let me some gnome.
All right, guys. Well, Dusty, Alex, and Ricky, thank you so much, guys, for participating for this quick little discussion and panel going over what we think are our unique perspectives of how we can bridge the divide and change the left. I guess real quick, I want to give every opportunity. Dusty, do you have anything coming up in the future other than your podcast, or is it still Mondays and Fridays, or?
Yep, still Mondays and Fridays, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, 2 a.m. GMT. Come join me live, dudes.
Absolutely. And Alex and Ricky, are you guys working on anything? I know, Alex, you're still working on the Fluid Voice. Is that correct?
Yeah, the Fluid Voice is on every Sunday on the Fluid Voice channel on YouTube. This week we have a pre-record of the Step Back History Guy. When we have a really good conversation there. We have a fun conversation about gender, since the history of gender is a thing. and also I am trepidatious about saying there's a video I've been off and on trying to work on that may actually finally come out on Monday, but I almost don't want to promote it because I'm not finished with it, and it's not like up there yet.
Yeah, I know how that is.
And what about you, Ricky? Do you have any projects coming up in the pipeline that you want to mention real fast, or?
Well, I do try to have like my own streaming regularly, but it's kind of hard because I'm not living alone. So I do have to deal with like people living with me, so I can stream when they're not there. With the pandemic, they're like often at my place, so it's kind of hard for me to have like time for my own where it's calm and quiet. There's also mental health issues that doesn't help, and the fact that I have not a full-time job, but I've still worked 4-day week, so that also takes a lot of my time. But I do want to try to be more, to stream more regularly, like maybe not always the same day because it's really hard for me to have like a schedule, but I do want to try at least once a week to stream and upload on my channel.
And gotcha. And people can find me on the same thing. I do things off the cuff, so I don't really have anything scheduled in similar part to you, Ricky. So you can catch everyone here. Ricky, you're still at Ricky Gray on your YouTube channel. Is that correct?
Yeah, Ricky Gay. The Gay has a U after the J. It's a French name. I know English people tend to pronounce it Gay like Dusty did, and it's kind of funny. Or on my Twitter, it's Ricky Castle Gay.
And Alex, you're still at OzmaInTheDark and on Twitch and on YouTube and the Fluid Voice as well.
Yeah, and I'm talking to nothing on Twitter, and yeah.
And then Dusty, you're still CultofDusty 1 and CultofDusty on YouTube. Is that still correct?
Yep. Still
And I'm real quick, if I can ask you this, are you still streaming on Facebook too, Dusty?
Yeah, both Facebook and Twitch. Twitch TV /Dusty Smith.
Gotcha. I didn't know if you still had your Facebook account, because I remember you had multiple times in the past. Facebook kept irrationally banning you and stuff for some stupid stuff. So
yeah, I was asking for it. I was being a dickhead. I deserved it.
Fair enough. And again, guys, thank you so much for participating. And we're in the live streams and recordings now. And you guys take care and thank you so much for watching. So
thanks for having me. Later.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you guys.